Hidden away in the deep heart of the woods stood an abandoned cabin, neglected and forgotten by time. Its wooden structure creaked with the weight of years of abandonment and secrets. Locals spoke of dark legends surrounding the place, tales of a family that had mysteriously vanished without a trace. Curiosity and fear mingled in equal parts, drawing people near only to be repelled by an eerie presence that seemed to permeate the very air. One brave explorer, a man by the name of Samuel, decided to unravel the truth once and for all. Armed with a flashlight and a camera, he ventured towards the cabin's treacherous path. Each step seemed to echo with the whispers of the missing family, as if urging Samuel to turn back. The closer he got, the more the cabin loomed over him, its cracked windows and broken doors serving as gateways to the unknown. Samuel pushed through the threshold, cautious yet resolute. The atmosphere inside was heavy, as if weighted by the weight of the tragedy that had unfolded here. As he ventured further into the cabin, Samuel's heart raced. Every shadow seemed to hide some unspeakable truth. The wooden floors moaned beneath his feet and a mysterious draft whispered in his ears. The tension mounted with every step, yet his curiosity urged him on. In a small room to his left, Samuel found a collection of old photographs, each portraying a happier time in the missing family's life. Smiles frozen in time, they beckoned him to discover their fate. But as Samuel reached to inspect them closer, a loud crash erupted from the hallway, causing him to jump in fright. His pulse raced as he cautiously ventured into the hallway. Suddenly, an old painting tumbled off the wall, missing Samuel by mere inches. The jump scare sent shivers down his spine, reminding him that he was not alone in the cabin. Who or what lurked within its unsettling walls? Determined to uncover the secrets despite his fear, Samuel continued his exploration. In what appeared to be the master bedroom, he discovered a diary hidden beneath a dusty mattress. The journal belonged to the family's matriarch, Alma. Samuel wiped away the dust with trembling hands and began to read. Alma spoke of dark entities that visited the cabin, consuming the happiness that once resided within its walls. The entries grew more disturbing with each page, detailing nightmarish occurrences and strange sightings. It seemed the missing family had been tormented by an otherworldly presence. Samuel's skin prickled with unease as he reached the final entries. Alma's words took on a frantic tone, describing how the cabin had become a gateway to a realm of unimaginable darkness. She pleaded for her family's safety, her words a haunting echo of her final moments within those walls. A sudden gust of wind extinguished Samuel's flashlight, plunging him into darkness. Panic gripped his heart as unseen whispers filled the air, growing louder with each passing second. He fumbled in the darkness, desperate to find an escape from the impending doom. Just as he felt his sanity slipping away, a sliver of moonlight pierced through a crack in the ceiling, casting an eerie glow on the room. It revealed a trapdoor beneath the bed, hidden from sight until now. With newfound hope, Samuel tore at the latch, praying it would lead him to safety. The trapdoor opened with a creak, revealing a narrow staircase that descended into the bowels of the cabin. Samuel hesitated only for a moment before descending into the darkness, his only companion the sound of his own racing heart. The further he descended, the more oppressive the air became. It seemed to weigh on Samuel's body, making each step feel like an impossible burden. The soft padding of his footsteps echoed in the corridor, growing louder and more distorted until they were accompanied by guttural whispers. Finally, Samuel reached the end of the staircase and stepped into a nightmarish chamber. The walls were adorned with disturbing paintings, each capturing the tortured souls of those who had fallen prey to the cabin's malevolence. In the center of the room stood a decrepit statue, the source of the eerie whispers that had haunted him. The statue was not inert. It seemed to pulse with an otherworldly energy. Around it, shadows danced, shifting and contorting in a macabre symphony. Samuel knew that he had stumbled upon something far beyond what he could comprehend. As he approached the statue, a voice whispered in his ear, its hissing tone sending shivers down his spine. "You're finally here," it rasped. Samuel's blood turned to ice as he realized the voice was familiar. It belonged to Alma, the matriarch of the missing family. "Alma?" he called out, his voice trembling. "What happened here? What do you want from me?" The statue's jaw moved with a grotesque grace, its voice emanating from its stone lips. "You are the first to come seeking answers," it said. But you shall not be the last. Samuel's heart pounded in his ears as he realized the full horror of what lay before him. He was not chosen at random. The cabin had an insidious plan, one that involved ensnaring unsuspecting victims to become a part of its cursed narrative. The shadows surrounding the statue converged, forming the twisted silhouette of Alma herself. "You are trapped in this nightmare. Just as we were," she whispered, her form flickering with each word. "But the cycle can be broken, if you have the will to free us all." Samuel's mind raced, torn between the desire to survive and the empathy he felt for the tormented spirits. With a resolute nod, he spoke the words that would change everything. "I will free you, Alma. I will break this cursed cycle." A shudder ran through the cabin as the walls seemed to whisper their approval. Samuel's conviction had awakened something in the very fabric of the cursed place. But as he turned to leave the chamber, the statue's voice echoed once more. "Beware the darkness that seeks to consume you," it warned, its voice laced with a predatory hunger. Samuel's heart skipped a beat as he realized the true magnitude of the task ahead. He would need to face the darkest depths of the cabin, to confront the malevolence that resided within. Armed with newfound courage, Samuel ventured deeper into the cabin. Each room brought him closer to the source of the darkness, the center of the cabin's sinister power. The air grew thicker, choking his breath, yet he pressed on, determined to break the cycle. In the basement, he found a hidden passage that led him to a hidden chamber. The room was adorned with ancient symbols, etched into the walls as if they held the secrets of the universe. Samuel felt drawn to the ethereal glow emanating from the center of the room. There, hovering in midair, was an ornate amulet, its flickering light a beacon of hope. Samuel's hand trembled as he reached for the amulet, feeling its raw energy course through his veins. It was the key, the one thing that could banish the darkness forever. With the amulet in hand, Samuel retraced his steps, back towards the chamber where Alma awaited. The cabin seemed to sense his intentions, for every step grew harder, as if the very walls conspired to keep him trapped. Finally, he stood once more before the statue, his heart pounding with a mixture of fear and determination. Holding the amulet aloft, Samuel channeled all his willpower, his very essence, into one decisive act. A blinding light erupted from the amulet, engulfing the statue and the chamber in its intense glow. As the light faded, Samuel could see the statue disintegrating before his eyes, its twisted form crumbling into ash. The cursed presence finally vanished. The walls of the cabin trembled, groaning in protest. But at the same time, a sense of relief washed over Samuel. He had broken the cycle, freed the tormented spirits. The whispers grew fainter until they vanished entirely, leaving only silence in their wake. The cabin itself seemed to sigh with an otherworldly contentment, as if it too had been released from an age-old burden. Samuel exited the chamber, stepping back into the world outside, forever changed by his encounter with the haunted cabin. Days turned into weeks, and weeks to months, yet the memory of the cabin haunted Samuel's dreams. He could never forget the horrors he had witnessed, nor the bravery it took to face them head-on. One evening, as Samuel walked through the woods, the sky darkened with swirling clouds, a tempest brewing overhead. Thunder cracked in the distance, the earth quivering beneath each ominous boom. But Samuel trudged forward, drawn towards an inexplicable magnetism. And there, hidden within the labyrinth of trees, stood the abandoned cabin once more. It had re-emerged, as if from the depths of Samuel's memory, calling to him like an old friend. But this time, the cabin seemed different, transformed. No longer a place of darkness, it stood proudly, a beacon of light against the looming storm. Intrigued yet apprehensive, Samuel approached, the amulet still hidden beneath his shirt, forgotten yet ever present. The door swung open with an eerie creak, whispering an invitation. Samuel stepped inside, his heart pounding. But instead of shadows and whispers, he found warmth and light, the cabin seemingly restored to its former glory. The old photographs adorned the walls once again. But this time, the faces within them were smiling, no longer frozen in a state of despair. Sunlight filtered through the dust-filled windows, illuminating the room with a long-lost light. Samuel explored each room, his steps no longer weighed down by fear. The dread had been lifted, replaced by a sense of serenity that seemed to grow stronger with every passing moment. In the master bedroom, he found a new diary, one freshly written. The first pages were familiar, reminiscing on the tragedy that seemed woven into the very fabric of the cabin. But as he read further, Samuel realized he was reading his own thoughts and experiences. The diary spoke of Samuel's courageous journey, of his determination to free the spirits that haunted the cabin. It detailed how, in his triumph over darkness, he had rewritten the cursed narrative, transforming the cabin from a monument of fear into a sanctuary of hope. The cabin had become a guardian, protecting those who sought solace within its walls. Samuel marveled at the revelation, grateful to have been a part of this twisted tale of redemption. Days turned into weeks, and weeks to months, yet Samuel never left the haven of the cabin. Its whispers became his solace, the memories of the missing family his companions. Ghosts no longer haunted him. They helped him heal. Legends spread through the nearby town, tales of the haunted cabin that had become a sanctuary. People flocked to the woods, their hearts heavy with their own burdens, seeking solace within the walls that held 1,000 stories. Samuel became a caretaker, guiding others through their own journey of redemption, just as Alma had guided him. The cabin thrived under his gentle touch, each room emanating a gentle warmth, welcoming those in search of peace. But even amidst the newfound tranquility, Samuel could not shake a lingering unease. He had grown comfortable within the cabin's embrace, its comforting whispers a balm to his soul. Yet something in the depths of his mind warned him not to become complacent. Late one night, as Samuel lay in bed reading, a shiver made its way down his spine. He looked up from his book, his senses on high alert. The cabin seemed different, its once warm glow replaced by a cold and eerie atmosphere. The whispers that had brought him comfort now took on a sinister tone, their words blurred and incomprehensible. Fear gripped Samuel's heart as he realized something had infiltrated the sanctuary, something far darker than the spirits he had once conquered. The walls shifted, their wooden structure contorted by an unseen force. The once familiar paintings twisted, their grotesque forms warping into nightmarish visages. And in the center of the room, the statue materialized once more, its malevolent presence permeating the air. "You thought you could escape," it hissed, its voice a venomous rasp. "But the darkness cannot be contained, Samuel. It spreads, infecting everything it touches." Samuel's resolve wavered as fear clutched at his very soul. The amulet, once a symbol of hope, now burned against his chest. Its light had dimmed, overshadowed by an all-consuming darkness. The voices grew louder, their whispers morphing into agonized screams. Samuel covered his ears, trying to block out the cacophony, but there was no escape. Every fiber of his being screamed for him to flee, to abandon the cabin and all it represented. Yet, in the depths of despair, a small spark of determination ignited within Samuel. He would not succumb to the darkness. He had faced it once before and emerged victorious. He would do so again. Samuel reached for the amulet, its cold surface cracking beneath his grip. He channeled every ounce of willpower into the artifact, summoning the last remnants of hope within him. The amulet pulsed, its dying light breaking through the suffocating darkness. With a burst of blinding energy, the darkness recoiled, as if repelled by the amulet's fading glow. Samuel could feel a force pushing against him, driving him away from the cabin's heart. But he fought against it, his heels digging into the wooden floor. He refused to be torn away, to abandon the sanctuary he had built. With a final surge of strength, Samuel held the amulet aloft, using it to shield himself from the oppressive darkness. The cabin shook, its walls groaning in protest. The statue's voice grew distorted, its hisses drowned out by a chorus of screams. And in a blinding flash, the statue shattered, disintegrating into nothingness. The darkness retreated, recoiling like a wounded animal. Samuel gasped for air, his chest heaving with exhaustion. The cabin fell silent, the echoes of discord fading into the blackened recesses of history. Finally, Samuel was alone, standing amidst the remnants of his shattered sanctuary. The once vibrant walls were now marred with cracks and decay, their beauty stolen by the ensuing battle. The cabin had been forever changed, damaged but not destroyed. Samuel knew he could no longer stay. The cabin, though still standing, would forever be tainted by the darkness that had consumed it. With a heavy heart, he gathered his belongings, bidding farewell to the memories that had once brought him solace. The world outside had also changed. Seasons had passed, transforming the once lush forest into a barren wasteland. The surrounding trees reached out with skeletal branches, their silent plea for life met with only desolation. Samuel walked through the woods, carrying the weight of a fallen sanctuary on his shoulders. The amulet, once a source of strength, now felt like an anchor, dragging him deeper into a never-ending cycle of darkness. As he distanced himself from the cabin, a sense of catharsis washed over him. He had faced unimaginable horrors, experienced a world beyond comprehension. And though the scars remained, he knew he had triumphed, even if the victory felt bittersweet. Days turned into weeks, and weeks to months, as Samuel found himself drawn to another journey, seeking solace and redemption, this time far from the reach of the haunted cabin. His spirits, once shattered, began to mend with each step he took away from his former sanctuary. The memories of the cabin faded, growing distant, as if they belonged to another lifetime. Samuel embraced the present, allowing new experiences to shape his perspective and heal his wounded soul. However, the darkness that Samuel had encountered in the cabin would not so easily relinquish its hold. It possessed a tenacious grip, lurking at the edges of his thoughts, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. And so, it whispered insidiously in his dreams, plaguing his peaceful nights with visions of torment and despair. The darkness sought to consume Samuel, to extinguish the flickering light of hope that still burned within his heart. Samuel fought against the encroaching darkness, refusing to succumb to its insidious influence. But with every passing night, its grip grew tighter, its whispers more seductive. His waking hours became torturous as the line between reality and nightmare blurred. Samuel sought solace in the company of loved ones, hoping their presence would shield him from the darkness. But it seemed to know no bounds, permeating every aspect of his life, infecting even the most joyous moments with a sense of impending doom. In his desperation, Samuel turned to the amulet that had once been his salvation. Its light had long since faded, but he clung to it with fervent hope. He believed that the key to banishing the darkness once and for all lay hidden within its cracked, fragile structure. With his heart pounding, Samuel retraced his steps back to the abandoned cabin, the place where his journey had begun. The walls stood as a grim reminder of his past triumphs, their shadows whispering tales of his shattered spirit. As he approached the cabin, a chill ran down his spine, the feeling of sanctuary replaced with an oppressive atmosphere. The door, creaking ominously, beckoned him inside, promising answers that, deep inside, he did not want to uncover. Samuel's breath caught in his throat as he ventured into the familiar chambers that had once been filled with hope. But now they loomed over him, cloaked in darkness, their whispers no longer comforting, but harbingers of impending doom. Seeking the source of the darkness that had pervaded his life, Samuel descended into the basement. The once familiar passage seemed narrower than before, claustrophobic and foreboding. Deep below the cabin's surface, Samuel found himself in the twisted chamber that had once housed the statue. But this time, no statue stood before him. Only emptiness accompanied by an eerie silence. The amulet trembled in Samuel's hands, its cracked surface reflecting the torment he felt inside. He raised it towards the empty space where the statue had once stood, praying for it to rekindle the